Okay, welcome folks. My name's West and I'm here at the Aussie Rob Lifestyle Summit with my good friend Noah St. John. Welcome, Noah.
Thanks, Wes. Great to be here.
You travelled all the way from, yeah, a long way to come here, didn't you?
It was a very long trip, yeah, the other side of the planet. So
Definitely.
It's a big ocean. Very large.
It is.
Very large.
Now you're here to talk to Aussie Rob's group about mindset.
Yep.
And obviously there's a lot of traders here, but you know, everyone who's looking to create wealth needs some sort of work on their mindset.
Right.
So Noah, what can you share with us and the listeners here today on for some of the people who are looking at improving their wealth, but I know for you and your philosophies, you actually help people take their foot off the brake and let themselves succeed.
Exactly. Well, see, everybody wants to succeed. So, I mean, if you try to find a person who doesn't want to be wealthy, that's not going to happen. And so, why do we hold ourselves back from success? Well, what I teach is two things, really, that hold ourselves back. And those are the why to's and why not to's, and the conscious and the subconscious. So think about it like two pictures. So the first picture is a scale, okay? So like you've seen in a courtroom, like the Libra scales. And so on the one hand, you have the why to's of doing something, and on the other, the why not to's. So the benefit and the cost of doing anything that you do. And this is...
You always weigh up those two scales.
We're always doing this in our mind. I mean, whether you think you're doing it or not, you always are.
people's behavior.
It completely drives their behavior. And so we have our perceived benefit and our perceived cost. So like for the people who are here, you know, they had to pay a lot of money to be here. And so why would you do that? Why would you pay that cost? Well, because your perceived benefit outweighed that cost, whatever it is. So anything that you do is based on those why to's and why not to's. I mean, where you live, what kind of car you drive, what you had for breakfast this morning, it all comes down to your why to's, why not to's. So you say, okay, well that's simple, that makes sense, but then why would I hold myself back? You know, are you trying to say that I don't want to succeed?
Because people know this stuff intuitively, right? Maybe.
Well,
perhaps.
They know it a little bit, but here's where it gets tricky. And here's the tricky part, but it's actually simple when you look at it. It's like an iceberg, okay? And the other part that I show people is about the conscious and the subconscious mind. So it's like an iceberg. So about 5% of our thoughts, behaviors, and actions are conscious, like the top part of an iceberg, right? Just that little 5%. But the vast 95% is below the surface. It's hidden. You can't see it. So when you look at those two things, the why to's, why not to's, the conscious and the subconscious, it actually becomes very simple, which is that everybody has the why to's of success on the conscious level. That means everyone wants to succeed. That's why we spend money. That's why we read books and go to seminars. We want the thing called success, whatever that is, more money, more time, you know, your own island in the Caribbean, whatever that is. That is what we want consciously. But have you ever stopped to think about what are the subconscious why not to's of success? And what I mean by that is, have you ever thought about the cost of actually allowing yourself to succeed? And most people have never thought about that, and they say, well...
They haven't even considered it.
No, because no one's ever...
They don't even know it exists.
No one's ever talked about it before. Okay, and so you have these motivational speakers, which I'll get to in a second, and they're telling us one thing, but it's not the whole picture. Okay, they're not saying anything wrong per se, but it's not the entire picture. So when you look at the subconscious, why not to's of success? And I ask my audiences, my coaching, my mentoring students this all the time, well, why would you? What are your why not to's, your cost of letting yourself succeed? And they go, well, it's going to take way too much time, or I don't want the extra responsibility. Look at my to-do list. I'm already doing way too much. I can't add one more thing. What if my family doesn't approve of me? What if somebody's jealous of me? What if my friends don't like me anymore? What if I go for it and then lose it all? See, there's all these subconscious why not to's. But here's the thing. We've been fighting the 95 with the 5. Right? Look at that iceberg. You've got the 5, which is the why not to. The 95 is the why not to.
They're going to lose, aren't they?
Which one's going to win? Yeah, I mean, you got to fight. Now, this is the funny thing, though. The 5 can win a little bit. And this is why you get these, I call it the roller coaster effect, right? And you start to succeed. And let's say you're doing trading, or if you're in internet marketing, multi-level marketing, whatever it is that you're doing to make money, and it starts to work. And then what do? You get up here and you freak out. That's when you get afraid and you're like, uh-oh, I don't like that. I'm too scared. And then you go down and I'm like, well, wait, I don't like that either. So you go back up. And
they sabotage themselves.
Exactly.
Unconsciously.
So nobody does this on purpose. This is the key here, is that nobody gets up in the morning and says, wow, this looks like a great day. I think I'll hold myself back from success today. You know, I'm going to read this book and go to this seminar so I can sabotage myself better. You know, nobody does that because it's on the subconscious level. But it's very simple. Just imagine that you're driving down the road with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. And then someone comes along and says, okay, Wes, step on the gas harder. Are you going to get to where you want to go?
You'll probably break your car.
You're just going to ruin your car faster, right? So all these people are telling you to spend more money, right? And say, well, you know, here's the problem, West. You're using the wrong gas. You need a more expensive gasoline, and that doesn't work. Well, wait, you know, you should get new tires. Get all new tires. Oh, you know what? That didn't work. So you know what? You should just get a whole new car. You know, the red one didn't work. Get the blue one. You know what? You're still doing the same thing. You've got your foot on the brake. Why? It's not your fault, but no one's told you, number one, why it's there, and then no one's given you a system that actually gets your foot off the brake. So that's why when people use the secret code of success, the teaching that I teach, they start doubling, tripling, quintupling their income because they get their foot off the brake, not pushing harder with the 5%, but letting the 95% go, oh, I guess I can let myself succeed now.
Definitely.
It's that easy.
Well, thanks for sharing, Noah, and you know, stay tuned for some of Noah's other materials that he'll be talking about a little later on, or you can go visit some of Noah's stuff at his website at successclinic.com. But for now, we're very privileged to have him with us, and we're going to enjoy the rest of the week.
Sounds great, Wes.